So, welcome, Dr. Roz. Let's break it down. As this pandemic is moving forward, really no end in sight at the moment, we're seeing all kinds of conversations happening about mental health and the toll of sort of mental health issues, and especially with our young folks. We're seeing some really disturbing trends with adolescents. A recent study showed almost 50% experiencing depression, experiencing stress, a little over 50% experiencing anxiety. Can you speak to us a little bit, Dr. Roz, here? What's going on and what's behind these trends?
Well, when you think about it, we all are really struggling. I think we've been in this pandemic about 9 months. And so when we think about adolescents, many of them do not have the opportunity to see their friends if they're still doing homeschooling, if they're still doing the virtual learning. In my area, the schools are still virtual. So a lot of the students here in our area, they're really struggling. And when you think about it, if they're not in the actual school setting, they're not seeing their friends, which are the most important things to them right now. So they're not seeing their friends on an everyday basis. They are pretty much socially isolated. Or if they are in school, there's been this whole kind of railroad of you're in school for 2 weeks, you're out of school for 2 weeks. It's a whole back and forth. So nothing is consistent. And we know when we have consistency, it makes us feel safe. And so they're trying to figure out why they're also going through puberty. They're trying to figure out, who am I? They're still going through that who am I phase, discovering who they want to be, discovering what makes them hip, what makes them cool. And now they don't have that social environment where they have the opportunity to test the waters to see if they are this person that they really thought that they were. And more so, since children are at home now, they're helping out with the parenting because parents are at work. You know, parents may still have to go to their job. And so now they have this added responsibility of not just being a student, but now I have to act as the big brother or the parent in charge until our parents get home to ensure that my younger siblings are doing what they're supposed to do.
So many great points there. I'm a parent of a 13-year-old myself, and I've seen so much of what you just mentioned in her experience over the last several months. And it is really tough. You're right. It's hard for us. And so it's hard for us to navigate for these young people in our life.
We have to help our teenagers out because they do not have the words to say, hey, I feel overwhelmed. Hey, something's not right. And a lot of times it really just shows up in their behavior. So people may, or parents may, and just because they're not educated on what depression looks like, they may just excuse some of the behavior as you're being lazy, you're not doing your schoolwork, you have a bad attitude, when it truly could be that they are in a depressive state and they just do not have the words to verbalize to say how they really feel. And so as parents, we really have to be more in tune with what our children are doing. And so if you see a drastic change where students may have done well while they were in the classroom, but now they're struggling with their work, and you may just be saying, okay, you're just being lazy because I know you have the ability to get all A's because you've done it in the past. And lots of parents are guilty of this and not realizing that it may be that their child is really struggling with concentrating in this virtual world and they don't know how to say it and they don't know how to fix it because they don't know how to say what's really wrong with them. So that is one of my biggest concerns, is that when you see these changes in your children, just do not automatically think that it is them just being lazy or that they're having a bad attitude or that they just do not want to do anything, because that could be signs of depression. So if they're sleeping a lot, that could be a sign of depression. If they're very lethargic, that could be a sign of depression. If their eating habits change, they're either eating a lot or they're not eating enough, that too can be a sign of depression. So just being really engaged and really in tune with their changes, because unfortunately, they may not have the words to say, I don't feel like myself,
great points there about what to look out for and changes in behavior. And I think so many of us are experiencing some of these issues ourselves. And so probably extra hard to properly recognize it with teens. So what other strategies do you suggest to help the young people in our lives in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple months? How should we be speaking with them and what should we be doing for them?
Some parents really just find it odd to just ask their children, how are you doing? Just really asking, the simple question, how are you handling all of this? This is a lot. And so that gives them the opportunity to open up. That gives them the opportunity. And now your child may say, oh, it's cool. Oh, it's fine. Because teenagers really don't want to talk to their parents. Let's just be honest. But make sure that you are providing a safe space for them to come and talk to you. Make sure that you are asking the right questions, such as, how do you feel right now? What are you feeling in this moment? Are you nervous about being in school? Are you scared to go to school? How are you protecting yourself? What are some of the things that you do to protect you? That will get the conversation going to where they aren't feeling like you're badgering them. Like, Mom, I'm okay, leave me alone, that kind of thing, because we know that teenagers can respond in such a manner. But just having a really open dialogue and letting them know that you are approachable. The second thing that I would encourage is to ensure that they are keeping a schedule.
Yeah.
Ensure that they are getting up every morning, showering, cleaning their face, brushing their teeth, actually putting on clothes. And it may be lounge clothes or whatnot, because they are in a virtual environment and no one wants to be completely dressed up while you're just sitting at home. But make sure they're looking presentable, that they're combing their hair, because that does a lot for appearance. And if you keep a schedule, it kind of gives you purpose. Whereas I know when we were first sent home in March, it was kind of great to just be around in your PJs for like 3 or 4 days and watching Netflix and eating all your COVID snacks. But the reality is this: once you keep a schedule going, it gives you purpose. And so you want to make sure that you keep them in that purposeful space, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are not creating the foundation for them to, 1, become withdrawn, 2, to isolate themselves, 3, to let this negative self-talk take place that kind of happens when we are depressed. And then you're taking away this ability of being overwhelmed.
Thank you so much. So much great information here. Such an important topic, especially for those of us with teens, adolescents, young people in our lives. Dr. Ross, thank you so much for breaking it down with us today. Lots of great information. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
This hour of local news is made possible by contributions from the Friends of PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you. If you have comments about Arizona PBS News, please contact us at one of the addresses on your screen. Thank you.